You know that specific facial expression a toddler makes when you put a new vegetable in front of them?
Oh, I know it.
You spend 40 minutes steaming organic broccoli, and they look at you like you've served them a plate of radioactive waste. It's the classic dinner table standoff.
It's so visceral. But, looking at the research we have for today's deep dive, we have to completely reframe that moment. We always call it picky eating or,
The
stubbornness.
power struggle.
Right. But the literature on food neophobia suggests we're actually watching a complex biological safety system fire up in real time.
Neophobia, the fear of the new. And that's the key, right? The sources really emphasize this isn't a behavioral choice.
Not at all. It's evolutionary hardwiring. I mean, if you think about it, between the ages of 2 and 5, that's when kids would historically start to wander a bit.
Right, away from their parents.
Exactly. And if they just went around eating any random berry or leaf they found in the wild, well, that could be fatal. So they developed this sharp survival instinct to reject anything unfamiliar.
Which explains the meltdown. The sources point straight to the amygdala's role here. That's the brain's threat detector.
That's threat detector, yeah.
It sees a new green vegetable, flags it as potential poison, and then triggers a full-blown fight-or-flight response.
And that is the absolute crucial part for any parent to understand. It's physiological. That response floods the toddler with cortisol and adrenaline.
And adrenaline physically suppresses appetite.
It completely shuts down digestion.
So when we're sitting there pressuring them to just take one bite while they're screaming,
You're literally asking them to eat while their body is physically preparing to run away from a tiger.
it's biologically impossible.
It is. So the mission here is to figure out how we bypass that alarm system.
Hmm.
And the notes propose transforming the kitchen from a battleground into what they call a sensory lab.
I really love this pivot. It's built on a concept called habituation.
Hmm.
Essentially, the central nervous system just stops flagging something as a threat once it becomes familiar, but you can't just talk a toddler into it.
No, you have to do it through exposure. But, and this is the key, it has to be low stakes exposure.
Right.
If the goal is eat this, the pressure is on and the wall goes right up.
But if the goal is play with this.
The threat detector stays quiet.
So let's talk about some of the specific tactics for this lab. Pour and stir seems like the cleanest entry point.
Right. Just getting them involved. It seems so simple to us. But for a toddler, pouring dry ingredients or stirring batter, that's them using their fine motor skills to build a sense of agency,
So the food shifts from being an intrusive threat to...
a controllable object, something they have mastery over.
And then you have the messier options, bread painting, using yogurt or purees on toast, or berry smashing.
Berry smashing is fascinating because it tackles the texture issue head on. So much of the rejection is from a tactile shock.
Never thought of that.
Yeah. By letting them squish the fruit, they're desensitizing their own tactile receptors. They learn how the food feels and behaves before it ever has to touch their tongue.
It's all about giving them control, which reduces that stress response. But I have to ask the practical question. Does squishing a blueberry actually lead to eating a blueberry? The Coulthard and Seeley study mentioned in the notes seemed to address this.
It does, and the data says yes. That study found that children who got to deep sensory play with fruits and vegetables were significantly more likely to then taste them compared to kids who just looked at them.
So it's about building what was the term, a multimodal representation of the food.
That's a technical term, yeah. Instead of just a visual map that says that green thing is scary, their brain builds this complex map of smell, touch, weight, sound.
It replaces fear with curiosity.
Exactly.
So the big takeaway here is a total shift in the goalpost. We sit down at the table thinking the goal is ingestion, get the calories in.
But the sensory lab approach says the goal is actually interaction. If you can get the interaction, the ingestion will eventually follow because the fear is gone.
That feels like such a liberating shift for the parent, too. It just stops the fight. And speaking of applying this, we actually have a specific update on Kenny.
Oh, great.
He's currently experimenting with pairing books and food, and he's specifically using that pour and stir method we talked about.
That is a perfect application. He's linking the intellectual engagement of the book with the physical, low-pressure engagement of stirring. He's building that safety map.
It's the sensory lab in action. So for everyone listening, and for Kenny, stop trying to force the bite.
And start the experiment.
And maybe prepare to clean up a few smashed berries.
Totally worth it.